Good evening and welcome to the monthly board meeting of the Dallas Independent School District Board of Trustees. Please stand and join us for a moment of silence and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and a salute to the Texas flag. Trustees present, starting on your left and my right, are Trustees Ben Mackey, Trustee Dan Mitchke, Trustee Miguel Solis, Trustee Dustin Marshall. I am Edwin Flores. We'll shortly be joined by our other trustees. Trustee Justin Henry will participate in the board meeting via video conference from 12 Pheasant Lane, Bloomfield, Connecticut, 06002. Our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Hinojosa, is joining us, and I'm Edwin Flores, Board President. Si hay alguien que necesita los servicios de un intérprete, aquí la señorita les puede ayudar con el equipo. Gracias. So the first part of the agenda is this time I'd like to recognize any elected or public officials, and we've got quite a few here, and I know I'm going to miss some. So if I miss any, please feel free to jump in. I know for sure we have former Dallas ISD trustee Trini Garza, the first Hispanic to serve on the Dallas School Board. Former Dallas ISD trustees and current city council members, we have Adam Medrano and Jaime Resendez. We have Claudia Sandoval, who's a city council member in Cockrell Hill. I'm pretty certain I saw former trustee Audrey Pinkerton here. There she is. And that's the end of my list, but trustees, I'm sorry. State Board member. State Board of Education member Mavis Knight. Thank you for being here. Now I really need anybody else, trustees. Okay, well, if we miss anybody, my apologies. So trustees, we're now going to move on to agenda item 2.01, issuance of certificates of election. At this time, we will conduct the ceremonial swearing-in presentation. For Carla Garcia, on June 8, 2019, a runoff election was held in District 4 between candidates Carla Garcia and Camille D. White. A called board meeting was held on June 18, 2019 to canvass the returns and declare the results of the runoff election. As a result of the canvass, Carla Garcia received a majority of the votes cast. This evening, I will issue the certificate of election for Carla Garcia. The statement of elected officer and oath of office will be administered by Ms. Hannah Alexander and the Honorable Claudia Garcia, Cockrell City Council member. Carla Garcia, will you please join me at the front of the dais for the issuance of the certificate of election? So this evening, I'm proud to issue the certificate of election to Carla Garcia. This certificate of election is to certify that on June 8, 2019, a runoff election was held for the purpose of electing one member to the Dallas Independent School District Board of Trustees in District 4. With the issuance of this certificate, you are now eligible to qualify for office. Congratulations.
Ms. Garcia, will you please remain standing at the front of the dais for the issuance of the statement of elected officer and the oath of office? Ms. Hannah Alexander and the Honorable Claudia Sandoval, will you please come forward to administer the statement of elected officer and the oath of office to Ms. Garcia?
Directly or indirectly paid to contribute any money or thing of value, or promise any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation,
Yes.
whichever the case may be, so help me God. Yo, Carla Garcia, juro solemnemente que no he pagado, ofrecido, prometido pagar, contribuido o prometido contribuir dinero o cosas de valor, directa o indirectamente, o prometido algún cargo público, o empleo, para que se me diera, o se abstuviera el voto en la elección en la que fui elegida, o como recompensa para asegurar mi nombramiento o confirmación, cualquiera que sea el caso,
Y si no lo hiciera, que Dios me lo demande.
Now for the oath of office. I say your name.
I, Carla Garcia,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will
that I will
faithfully
execute my duties
of the office of the School Board Trustee for the Dallas Independent School District of the State of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God.
El juramento de oficio, yo, Carla García,
Yo, Carla García,
juro solemnemente
juro solemnemente
que asumiré
que asumiré
fielmente las funciones
de mi puesto
en la Junta Escolar
en la Junta Escolar
del Distrito Escolar Independiente
del Distrito Escolar Independiente
de Dallas,
del Estado de Texas,
y haré todo lo posible para preservar, proteger y defender la Constitución y las leyes de los Estados Unidos y de este Estado. Y si no lo hiciera, que Dios me lo demande.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander and Ms. Sandoval. Congratulations, Trustee Garcia.
Congratulations, Trustee Garcia. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me formally congratulate Trustee Carla Garcia as the new member of the Dallas Independent School District Board of Trustees. And on behalf of the board, I want to thank Ms. Hannah Alexander and Ms. Claudia Sandoval for participating in the ceremony this evening. Trustee Garcia, would you like to make some comments?
Buenas tardes. Quisiera darle a todos ustedes muchas gracias por estar aquí hoy día conmigo para celebrar lo que ha sido una jornada muy larga, una jornada que ha tomado mucho esfuerzo, mucho trabajo, mucha dedicación con mucha gente en la comunidad del cuarto distrito, que viene siendo Pleasant Grove, Balch Springs y Seagoville. Le doy gracias a mis familiares por estar aquí, a mi mamá, a mi papá, a mi hermano, a mi hermana, por soñar el sueño americano, por tener el valor para poder lograr lo que hemos hecho hoy día. A los que estuvieron conmigo desde el principio, a mi equipo, compuesto por unas personas muy especiales, Alejandra Aguirre, Carter, que está aquí hoy día, a Edwin, a Jennifer, a todos los amigos que tengo aquí hoy presente que están celebrando conmigo, muchísimas gracias por ayudarme a lograr esto, lo que se ha hecho hoy día. Now in English, I want to thank all of you for being here today. It's been a long journey to get here, and I want to appreciate everyone that's with me, that have celebrated. Thank you for your dedication, for your time, for the resources. Thank you for being with me day in and day out and your unwavering grit to make sure that we gave the possibility of all students to be represented by one of their very own DISD grads, proud graduate of Irma Rangel Women's Leadership School, of who the very influential leaders and educators that made me who I am today are here today, and I appreciate them. Again, thanks to my family, my parents, for having the courage to dream and work hard on behalf of the American dream today. And I appreciate each and every single one of you again. I'm overwhelmed with emotion to be here before you and cannot wait to get started on serving all kids like me and all students here in DISD. So thank you, and as I ended, so help me God. Thank you.
Trustees and Dr. Hinojosa, would you like to make any comments? Trustee Marshall.
I just want to welcome you, Carla, and tell you how excited I am that you're here and how proud I am of the campaign that you ran. And we've alluded to it, but I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that Carla is the first Latina to ever serve on the Dallas ISD School Board, and I think we would be remiss if we didn't recognize that. So I look forward to working with you, and can't wait to see all the great things you're going to do for kids. So welcome.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes, I want to say congratulations, Carla. You are a champion, and I look forward to working with you, a kind-hearted person, and we're going to do great things for kids on this board.
Trustee Solis?
Very proud of everything that you've done. You've exhibited the best of what Dallas ISD is. You do stand on the shoulders of giants, and we think about Trini Garza, but 40 years later, the first Latina to ever serve on this school board. 50 years later. 50 years later. Think about that. Congratulations, and I look forward to working with you.
Yeah. Dr. Hinojosa?
Yes, congratulations, Trustee Garcia. Appreciate you coming in real early and getting your orientation and getting ready. It just shows the commitment that you had as a student and now the responsibility you're going to add to this board. And I also do appreciate the maturity that you're bringing to the school board.
Trustee Mitchke.
Yes, I want to add my congratulations, and I'm really impressed with everything I've gotten to know about you, and I think you're going to be able to bring to this board a perspective that the board desperately needs, and I'm so looking forward to working with you. Congratulations.
Trustee Mackey.
I want to echo what everyone up here has also said. Congratulations. In the time that I've gotten to know you, your grit, your determination. I'm excited to serve with you, and you represent what we hope for all of our students in this district to be able to do. So congratulations, and I'm honored to serve with you.
Anybody else? Then I'll close it out. It's an honor to serve with you. and it's a privilege to serve the community of Dallas, all of us, and we welcome you aboard, and we're looking forward to many, many great things. Thank you. Oh, Trustee Henry, sorry. My apologies.
No, you're fine, President Flores. Can you all hear me? Well,
yes.
Before I begin? Okay. Yeah, so Trustee Garcia, I just again want to echo the sentiments of our colleagues on the board and congratulate you on becoming the first Latina on the DSD school board, which I think is a huge accomplishment. I also heard that former Trustee Trini Garza was in the room, so definitely some folks in the room whose shoulders you stand on, and I know you recognize that, and we'll take that the utmost sincerity. So, again, welcome to the board. I look forward to working with you, and congrats.
Excellent. Well, thank you all, and thank you for your family and everybody, all her supporters, for being here. It's a great day. So we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda is 2.03, election of officers. Trustees, this is the portion of the meeting where you elect your officers. It is the only time that your superintendent presides over the meeting. I will do so until the new board president is elected. As we begin the vote, I want to point out the first. Oh, sorry. Oh, I am reading. I am reading his part. My apologies. Dr. Hinojosa.
Finally, I get to run the meeting, and you take over, just like it's supposed to be. Trustees, this is the only portion where the superintendent presides over your meeting. I will do so until the new board president is elected. As we begin the vote, I want to point out that the first person to receive a majority vote ends the voting process for that particular position. Each nomination will be voted on as a separate item, meaning each trustee can vote once for each nominee until a single candidate receives a majority of the votes, thus ending the voting for that position. If no majority is obtained, we will continue to the next name. If no nominee receives a majority vote, nominations for the same position will open again, and the same names or possible additions. All those in favor will be asked to raise their hands, and those opposed to raise their hands as well. Those wishing to abstain may do so. Are there any questions about the process? Hearing none, nominations are now in order for the office of the president. The chair recognizes Trustee Edwin Flores.
Dr. Hinojosa, I nominate Trustee Justin Henry for board president.
Second.
There is a second not required. Justin Henry is nominated. Are there any further nominations for president? Are there any other nominations for president? Hearing none, I declare that Justin Henry has been elected by acclamation. Congratulations, Trustee Henry. I think I've been asked to then, since you're operating remotely, to run the next one. But do you want to say something before we go to the election of the first vice president?
Yeah, I'll be brief. First, I want to thank all of our colleagues on the board for trusting me with this position. I definitely take it seriously, and I hope each and every one of you know that. I hope to continue the great work of this board. I think what you all have done over the last, more than a few years has been phenomenal. I think it helped lead to some of the legislation we saw out of the state legislature, and I hope that we continue to move forward. The new trustees, I already talked to Trustee Garcia briefly, but I know you have your set of core values and the things that drive your decision-making process. I know you are out there canvassing your community, and you know it very well. My only thing that I would say to you is just be you, be your most authentic self, and I look forward to serving with you. Again, I look forward to increasing the academic achievement of all of our kids, as Trustee Garcia mentioned and many of you agree with. And then I also just want to share just a commitment to civility. I think we all represent different parts of this town, but I know we have a shared value around this kid, so I look forward on focus on that, and that's the kids. And I'll commit to each one of you. I'll communicate and work with each one of you to continue this progress, and I look forward to serving. So thank you all for entrusting me with this process, and I definitely will look to each of you for help and support through this.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now nominations are in order for the office of first vice president. The chair recognizes Trustee Dustin Marshall.
Mr. Superintendent, I nominate Trustee Dan Mitchgay for first vice president.
Dan Mitchgay has been nominated as first vice president. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, Dan Mitchgay is declared elected by acclamation as the first Vice President, and he can take over this meeting. Thank you, Jesus.
Okay, nominations are now in order for the position of Second Vice President. Do I have any nominations for Second Vice President?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I nominate Trustee Edwin Flores for Second Vice President.
Are there any other nominations for Second Vice President? Any other nominations for Second Vice President? Any other nominations for Second Vice President? There being no other nominations for Second Vice President, Trustee Edwin Flores is now Second Vice President.
Sounded like he really wanted a second nomination.
Yes, that's what it sounded like.
Our nominations are now in order for the position of Secretary.
Mr. Chair, I nominate our newest trustee, Carla Garcia, for Secretary.
Are there any other nominations for the position of Secretary? Trustee Foreman, do you have a nomination? Okay. Any other nominations? Okay. There being no other nominations, Trustee Carla Garcia is hereby elected Secretary of the Board of Trustees. I want to congratulate all the newly appointed officers. Each officer at this point will have the opportunity to make any statements. I'm not going to make a statement as First Vice President. Trustee Flores?
I have nothing to add. Thank you. Thank you for supporting me.
Trustee Garcia?
Thank you all.
Okay, great. Our agenda now calls for the public forum segment of our meeting. To ensure that this meeting is held in an orderly manner, I'm asking speakers to please refrain from using individual names and to address the board and not individual trustees. Mrs. Gully, will you call the names of the speakers, please?
Yes. I would like to remind speakers that you will have 3 minutes to speak. When you arrive at the microphone, please state your name and address. Our first speaker is Jerry Christian, followed by Ruth Torres.
Thank you. I am Jerry Christian. I live in 600 Ricker Court in Irving, Texas. I'm a proud graduate of W.W. Samuel High School, class of 1961. I'm a past president of the Irving ISD Board of Trustees, so I understand what most of you are going through. I'm also currently the chairman of the board of the Credit Union of Texas, and I'm speaking in support of agenda item 7.12. Congratulations to the new officers and newly elected trustee. I know you have a wonderful experience ahead of you. So, distinguished board members and Superintendent Dr. Hinojosa, it's my pleasure and honor to speak in support of your possible action to rename the conference center in memory of Ada Williams. Our president and CEO of the Credit Union of Texas has written you a letter. I hope you've had time to read that. He details a lot of Ms. Williams' activities with the credit union, as well as cites some of the things with the school district. He's unable to be here tonight because he's dealing with a family health emergency in New York City. So it's my pleasure to be here in his place. It was my pleasure to have served on the credit union board with Mrs. Williams for 20 years. She was the chairman of that board that whole time. Her expertise in governance and parliamentary procedure was well known and celebrated by many organizations. While serving so many, she always was a faithful and effective ambassador for Dallas ISD, the school district. You do well to honor her memory. Thank you very much for doing so, and thank you for your time.
Ruth Torres, followed by the Honorable Audrey Pinkerton.
Give the handouts to?
Mrs. Gully, before we turn on the clock here, I know that we have a lot of people who came to this meeting for the swearing in. And I want to take a 2-minute recess to allow those who would like to leave at this point. Everybody's welcome to stay for the entire meeting, but I know that some people came just for the swearing in portion. And if you would like to leave now without feeling like you're disrupting the meeting, you're free to do that. So if there are no objections, we'll just take a 2-minute recess here.
She passed it. Or 2 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, we weren't expecting it. Sit down. Oh, no. Sit down. You stay there. No shaving.
Carla, 50. So one just spoke, so now we have 49 speakers.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started in a second here. I just want to also ask any of the speakers, if you have handouts, please, Gina, would you raise your hand? Please hand them to Ms. Lopez. Okay, and then we can get them distributed during your presentation. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Torres, you may begin your remarks.
I don't see the timer. Can I see the timer?
State your name and address, and I'll start the timer.
Ruth Torres, 1180 North Masters Drive, Dallas, Texas, 75217. Brown v. Board of Education found separate but equal as unconstitutional and required desegregated public education. Yet initiatives such as home rule, vouchers, and charter schools are simply repackaging this agenda for similar results. Significant race-based inequity and socioeconomic impact is still prevalent in Dallas today, with disparity in access to quality education as a root cause driving unemployment, low wages, and high crime rates, disproportionately harming Black and Hispanic students. The combined impact of existing TEA charters and issuing new DISD charters, as currently written and operated, threatens further disparate impact and lack of fiduciary duty. SB 1882 does not absolve school districts from their duty to ensure discrimination or disparate impact do not occur. Further, the superintendent, staff, and all elected officials have a legal fiduciary duty to act exclusively according to the best interests of children residing in this district and DISD. Failure to do so exposes you to personal liability. Further, I urge you to exercise duty of care and loyalty to investigate and act accordingly. If concerns or questions remain, you have a duty to withhold a vote until the issues are addressed. I submitted to you all by email last night and have provided handouts today that point out 32 specific issues with the contracts. I went through these contracts for these charter schools line by line. And some of the issues are pretty significant. While I do see some changes, and I appreciate that from the original, what was originally submitted in January till now, there have been a few important improvements. But there still remain a number of important items. Overall, these 10 contracts do not provide any additional seats for our pre-K, and the cost-benefit ratio is just not there. The cost to us is significant, where there is no benefit, as it does not even add one head count to the current capacity. In addition, parents need to be aware, and we need to know if this is going to expand beyond pre-K. I was told that that loophole was closed, but I don't see it in the contract. Whether you have existing relationships with these providers outside of that, this contract is the only thing that exists. So it needs to be complete and comprehensive. And we need to address if they're going to expand. We also need to deal with this time frame. Expanding this to 10 years is too long. We need transparency and accountability. Parents need to be aware if they are charter schools and how it impacts them, if they're going to be open to public meeting acts and public information requests. There are, like I said, 32 items here that were shared, and I hope that you give attention to these before you issue any contracts. Thank you.
The Honorable Audra Pinkerton, followed by
Audrey Pinkerton.
Brown.
Audrey Pinkerton, 434 West Greenbrier Lane. I'm here today to talk about the partnership charter contracts. Many of you think that you're here to vote on an expansion of pre-K. There's actually no evidence to support that narrative. If you look at the contract, you will be hard-pressed to find any reference to a requirement to expand pre-K seats or even an intention to do so. In fact, if you look at the amendment of the appendix that has the student outcome goals, what you'll find is that these private operators are going to be held accountable to reduce the size of their classrooms from 16 to 17 students down to 13 students. So if you vote for these contracts and you actually hold these private operators accountable, you're actually going to be decreasing the number of pre-K seats here in the district. Some of you think this is not privatization, but there's every evidence that it is. How many of you have read the contract line by line? None. When you go through line by line, what you see is reference after reference transferring core education function authority from DISD to the private operators. This is clearly privatization. Finally, and this is very important, the financial situation with regard to pre-K has changed dramatically since the board voted on these contracts back in February. Back then it was half-day funding. That wasn't enough to cover the direct costs. And Derek Little told the board that it wasn't important to talk about how we might share in any excess funds because there wouldn't be any. Today, the state is funding full-day pre-K. There are excess funds. Privatizers in the reform movement like to use the analogy of the backpack full of cash that comes with every student. It's the state, local, and federal tax dollars that go with that student to the school. What happens with a pre-K student in Dallas ISD is that administrators reach into the backpack and take out about $3,000 per student to cover the non-campus administrative overhead. The balance goes to the school. with these contracts, the full backpack gets turned over to the private operator. Where is the equity in that? Because of the very small benefit of these contracts, because of the potential decrease in access to pre-K and the inequity of the financial arrangement, I'm asking you to vote against these contracts. Thank you.
Symmetric Brown, followed by Suzabelle Gosley.
Hello, my name is Symmetric Brown. I live at 1180 North Masters Drive, apartment 716. Board members of Dallas Independent School District, I am standing here today to discuss the situation about funding charter schools. This brings me sorrow for the children of Dallas public schools. I am a parent of a dyslexic student that attends public schools. I think that the money that you are funding charter schools should go to the children in public schools. Why? We need programs, more teachers with skills to help teach our children, and teachers with skills that can help children with learning disabilities. My son faces many hardships because he has no help. Section 504, which is the 504 program, lacks resources to help kids with learning disabilities, even other kids with special needs and learning disabilities. Now back on charter schools. Think about this. When charter schools bring in children in their schools and the students develop learning disabilities, how can they properly help them? Will they tell them we can no longer educate these students here? What will happen to the money you are funding to those schools for the kids' education? What then? They will have to go back to a public school. Next problem, the children's academic performance, meaning this child will be behind trying to play catch-up with the other kids to get to the same level as the others. Whatever happens to no kids left behind motto. And you know what also will happen? The children's self-esteem will also be affected and develop depression. Now let's look at the children as a whole. I know some parents who have A+ students, overachievers. Now, they left the school because of lack of proper education. So they have to go back to the regular schools. What happens when they go back? They fail the STAR test. The academic performance did not meet. And this was an overachiever. Now, these are all the things we need in our schools. We need transportation for our kids who need to stay after school for tutoring, better pay for teachers who stay late to help those kids after school, programs for kids in high school who need help because they have to drop out of school due to pregnancies and problems at home. We need more resources and opportunities and programs to help our future children. We don't need charter schools. We need help to better our kids' future. Thank you.
Suzabelle Gosley, followed by Lynn Davenport.
I'm Susie Bell Gosley at 9511 Faircrest Drive. Thank you for taking comments from the public regarding the pre-K partnerships. This country and district operate within the framework of a democratic government, which depends on informed and active voter participation in the decisions made by this governing body. Governmental bodies protect the citizens' right to know by giving adequate notice of proposed actions, holding open meetings, and making public records accessible. The public has been poorly informed on this proposal. The information given to the trustees is that DISD has no available space for expansion of the pre-K classrooms. Yet, the long-range facilities report states that there are 131 elementary schools with less than 95% capacity, all of which could easily house additional classrooms for pre-K. Having more students in the district means a higher student population, which would bring more money into the district from the state. Governance is the role of the trustees. Trustees should know every school in their district and all their principals with regular visits. They build trust with the public for DISD when they are fully informed and inform the voters. They create safety and an atmosphere of learning for students. The trustees build trust with public education when they visit schools and walk the halls, meaning students, teachers, and parents. Creating private operators creates a separate governance or oversight process, which is independent of the state laws and are meant to ensure better outcomes. If laws don't work, change the law. Don't throw them out. Speaking of trust, the parents and voters will have more trust in the district and their schools if the district would create and distribute accessible information about the improvements and finances in the district and individual schools. Since the website is completely impersonal, the district could have an open house at each school. Student recruitment procedures and materials would greatly increase enrollment and trust in the school system. I urge you not support the proposed key pre-K partnerships. DISD continues to improve outcomes. Keep the relationship with the existing 10 pre-K schools as they are now. Open all new pre-K schools in existing DISD elementary schools where students can move up to the higher grades more easily, and the elected trustees will serve the children better. Thank you for listening.
Lynn Davenport, followed by David King.
Good evening, Dr. Hinojosa and trustees. My name is Lynn Davenport, and I live in Dallas, but my kids go to Richardson ISD. And I was here in January to speak on the same agenda item because my district, Richardson, has an agreement with Commit and Early Matters Dallas. So what happens here tends to make its way to Richardson ISD. So I think the bottom line here is that we are all in agreement with the advantages to high-quality pre-K. The disagreement lies with privatization as the means to get there. Most of you seem to be okay with relinquishing control to private pre-K partners in order to fast-track pre-K expansion, which technically doesn't even create more spots if you look at the data. I know you love data. Others here want to protect public education, democratic control, and transparency. The existing high-quality pre-K SRI system in Dallas ISD could be expanded instead of the slippery slope of these pre-K charter partnerships under the carrot of Senate Bill 1882. Former State Representative Linda Koop was a sponsor of this bill. She pitched the bill as a way to give charter schools access to facilities. You are flipping it and using it as a loophole to give public dollars to a private entity in order to access their facilities when you already have 131 campuses that are underutilized. I implore you, do not privatize your way to offering pre-K. The language looks like pre-K charters, but you could also say that it looks like pre-K vouchers. One of those partners is a religious institution. The curriculum, they would have control over what is taught to those children. That's a really slippery slope to go down. Oversight and all of that, it's important for you to have control over that as an elected board. And I want to know who controls the data that is collected on the students that are in these pre-K providers, because that data could be used in the future against those children or for profiteers, those who can actually gather that baseline data and do some sort of longitudinal study over time where investors can turn a profit on the outcomes of those children. And I spoke about that in January, about impact investing. So that's a possible issue that I think you need to put something in the language, because I know you're all going to vote on this, except for maybe one bright person on the board who will say no to privatization. But if you do vote on this, at least put something in the language to protect that data and who has access to that data. Thank you.
David King, followed by Arthur Fleming. David King, Arthur Fleming.
Good evening. Arthur Fleming, 822 West Road Drive, Lancaster, Texas. Speaking on behalf of NAACP Dallas and Southwest Coalition. The NAACP's position and Southwest Coalition position is still no on 1882. The last time I was here on this issue, you guys were in a rush. The NAACP and Southwest Coalition we're currently engaged in a financial literacy series of DISD financials. So I have several questions. One, why are you all doing this, 1882? Why? Two, how does it add value to the community? Three, how much money will 1822 generate in the context of the overall budget? Why does Dallas ISD have an average of $1.5 billion of undistributed funds in each of the last 4 budget years? What's to stop the state under Senate Bill 1882 from taking over our district by using performance criteria? Why our schools are not funded properly under the current budgeting stream? When the Walker Decree was abandoned, DISD created the African American Initiative to assure our community continued resources. The African American Community Initiative was dysfunctional in its implementation, and nothing came of it. The funding followed. Now we have the Office of Racial Equality. We need to bring back the Walker Decree in Dallas ISD to assure financial fairness for the African American students in DISD. I will use the next 30 seconds of my time to have the audience to look at the board, since they won't look at us while we're talking. So I want to use 30 seconds of my remaining time to let's just look at them. Thank you, thank you.
Horace Bradshaw, followed by Shawana Washington.
Did you say Horace Bradshaw?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I want to say to my young brother who just been the president today, I first praise God for you, because it looks like every time I see you, God is moving in your life. To the young lady who just joined the board today, D07 Dia Amana, I believe I said that right. God bless you, my sister. I'm concerned about monies being taken away from important programs like our sister spoke about a few minutes ago, the special education, in the tutoring program, busing program, and we so big behind this 1882 privatization of our schools. Like Brother Finley said a couple of months ago, what do the dishwasher do? We trying to model ourselves off an entity that we are outperforming. The charter schools. We outperforming the charter schools. That's just like the New England Patriots, who've been to the Super Bowl about six times, I believe, modeling themselves off a team that never have been to a playoff. My sister said a few minutes ago she's concerned about the religion institution. That's my church, Good Street Baptist Church. Used to be named Caesar Arthur C.A.W. Clark Learning Center. It's Good Street Daycare Center now. And he would turn over in his grave if he knew that that curriculum would be changed from what is a spiritual-based curriculum. I'm concerned about that. Those kids, when they graduate, they come before our church and they say all these Bible verses. They using from A to W. Just imagine what they'll be taught if we allow an entity to set the curriculum without any kind of oversight. Also, I want to talk about what's going on in South Oak Cliff. My brother who just was elected, I can't call his name, but I'm proud of you. But we're going to hold your feet to the fire, too. You're going to have to speak for the district, and we expect that out of you. I've been told that some of the things have been straightened out, but when you say you're going to do a total gut, Pastor Clark said that total mean all. And after all, there's no more. And then we found out behind the scene that there's some things that wasn't going to be done and you wasn't going to tell us about it. That's a shame. We have to be transparent. We expect that out of you. And my new elected officials, my time is almost up, I'm counting on you to do better than what's been done before. Thank you very much. God bless.
Shawana Washington, followed by Freddie Cox. President Henry, trustees, and Dr. Hinojosa, my name is Shawana Washington, 334 Center Street, Dallas, Texas, 75208, and I'm a member of Alliance AFT Local 2260. I'm here tonight to speak about the SB 1882 Partnership Agenda, items 7.15 through 7.25. The last time SB 1882 was before the board, I was saddened the trustees chose to ignore the wishes of the community and voted in favor of the partnership agreement. Today, I'm hopeful the board has used the last few months to fully understand the consequences of privatizing public education and will come to a different conclusion. I would like to thank those 3 trustees who pulled the agenda item in order to hear from the community. In addition to all the problems the community raised last time in the regards of the partnership, I have still not received answers on a number of questions. Why do we need these partnerships when they will be creating no new classrooms and bringing no new students to the district? Some of the proposed partnership advertises feeders for charter schools. What is being done to prevent these partnerships from recruiting away DISD students? Furthermore, in recent years, Dallas ISD has been pushing a narrative of strong achievement and steady progress in the district. If we believe in this narrative, why undermine it and handing over control of our schools to a private entity where we will lose all oversight? Sadly, this proposal is not unique to Dallas or to Texas. As a former trustee once said, this proposal is a part of a national trend to transfer public school district assets management functions and responsibilities to private operators, currently being championed by Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos. For the children's sake, I really hope Dallas ISD isn't trying to emulate the policies of Betsy DeVos, because I see nothing in these partnerships that will help our children. Thank you for your time, your attention to this matter, and your service. Have a safe, happy holiday. Freddie Cox, followed by the Honorable Mavis Knight.
Mavis Knight, 6108 Redbird Court, Dallas 75232. If there is truth to the third time being a charm, then my third appearance before you, along with others, will inspire you to deny the partnership amendments and agreements. Hopefully you will maintain the current SRI or SR1 partnerships and find your own funding for those partnerships. Since many of you have indicated that your motivation for support of Bill 1882 and the partnership agreements is the additional funding that will be available, tonight I want to continue with the theme of the commercialization of education and talk about chasing the dollar and opening Pandora's box. Education is an industry, and currently there are individuals who are mining for those educational dollars. AdVenture tracks and has given estimates to the amount of public school dollars that would go to private school entities. In 1998, the estimate was $82 billion, a 25% increase over 1997. In 1999, that estimate rose to $99 billion. In 2000, $123 billion. the reality of their premise that private entities could educate students better and improve outcomes better than public schools has not been realized. Results thus far have been mixed. One of the things that this mixed results indicates is that private managers can be just as inefficient and incompetent as public ones. So going to the private sector is not a magic cure-all. Lessons from my home state of North Carolina that has an advocacy group called Public Schools First North Carolina stated the fact that over a 30-year period, business leaders and corporate entities have conspired to debunk the traditional public school and chase after those public school dollars.
Thank you, Ms. Knight. Your time has expired. Lori Kirkpatrick, followed by Amy Terwell.
Good evening. My name is Lori Kirkpatrick. I reside at 6705 Brayburn Drive in Dallas, Texas. I'm the parent of a now fifth grader. And the Honorable Mavis Knight stole my line. I, too, was hoping the third time's a charm. The creation of private charter partnerships strips our community of the most basic of democratic tenets and instead allows for taxation without representation. You were elected to represent us, the members in your community and the students in Dallas ISD, not to hand over control to a private entity whose board members were not elected by this community. We do not support this partnership. We are a democracy, and the will of the people should matter. Your charge is to protect the interests of the students in Dallas ISD. I went back and listened to the February board meeting where we were here, and one of the trustees said that the current pre-K partnership program that we've been operating for the last couple of years operates at a net loss of about $3 million a year. So it made me think that if money is coming in the front door of DISD and it's going out the back door to these private operators, and our administrative costs are fixed, and our enrollment is ever declining, then what happens to our schools where our students are attending? Are services cut? Resources lost? Budget shortfalls mean less teachers, less programs for our students in our schools. In light of the fact that we now have full-day pre-K support from the state, I want you to consider not approving these contracts that will be before you tonight, and instead continue with your SRI program. And let's look at, can we utilize this $3 million that we're losing every year for this program and put it towards actual pre-K expansion in our district schools. Thank you for your service.
Amy Terwell, followed by Diane Tassian.
Hi, good evening. I'm Amy Terwell, 1330 Rainbow Drive, Dallas, Texas, 75208. I decided to do a top 10 reasons why we should not have charter partnerships tonight. Number 10, DISD has proven we can better educate kids, as shown through the data. Number 9, we don't want DISD to fund 2 charter partnerships in Richardson ISD. Number 8, separation of church and state. Charter partners with religious affiliation should not be given tax dollars to educate kids. Number 7, we don't want DISD to unfairly bear the administrative cost of charter partners. Charter partners will pay approximately $150 per student for DISD administrative overhead. DISD pays about $3,000 per student for administrative overhead. Number 6, we don't want DISD to fund a partnership pipeline to charter schools, such as Uplift. As is advertised on the partners' websites, we want these students to continue in DISD to assure taxpayer our return on investment. Number 5, DISD claims this is a way to expand pre-K. In reality, the agreement adds no additional partners and reduces class sizes from 16 kids down to 13 kids. So we are reducing the number of children served, not expanding. Number 4, not only is the district reducing the number of kids served, it is costing the district more money. The charter operator will receive local, state, and federal tax dollars that DISD would otherwise receive. Partners will also receive state privatization incentives of approximately up to $1,500 per student. In addition, DISD will pay each charter partner $17,000. Number 3, of 230 DISD schools, 113 have available space for additional pre-K classrooms. Just last year, DISD wanted to close 22 schools. DISD does have the room to expand pre-K. Number 2, power shifts with charter partnerships. Control over budget, administration, admissions, curriculum, and evaluation is transferred to the charter partner. With the current SRI partnership, student readiness partnerships, DISD is in control. With SB 1882 partnerships, the partner operator is control. That constitutes taxation without representation. And the number one reason not to approve charter partnerships is that DISD is not being very transparent in their quest for this proposal.
Diane Tazian, followed by Rosario Zamudio.
Good evening. My name is Diane Tazian, and I reside in Dallas at 3831 Turtle Creek Boulevard. I have a granddaughter at Sudi Tag and another granddaughter at Rosemont. I am speaking as a volunteer and president of the League of Women Voters of Dallas regarding agenda items 8.16 to 8.25 concerning proposed private partnerships. Thank you for allowing me to share the League of Women Voters' position. The League develops its positions by consensus after extensive study. The process used in formulating our nonpartisan positions and acting at the grassroots level makes the League unique and sets the League apart from other organizations. The League believes that voting is a fundamental citizen right that must be guaranteed and protected. This right has been a basic League principle since its origin in 1920. In 2006, the League launched the Public Advocacy of Voter Protection Project and has promoted voter protection and education to prevent the development of processes and laws that threaten to disenfranchise voters. The proposals before you today undermine the rights of voters to make decisions about their students' education. The election of you, the Board of Trustees, is a fundamental right that should not be abdicated. These proposals allow the transfer of public school district assets, management, functions, or responsibilities to private operators who have board members who are selected, not elected. They have no accountability to the parents, taxpayers, or the community. Best practices for the transfer of DISD's governmental services, assets, and/or functions to the private sector should include and ensure transparency, accountability, and the preservation for the common good. The primary issue of concern is that citizens lose the power of their vote if these proposals pass. The district has space for pre-K classrooms in 131 elementary schools, but not in 16 district elementary schools, according to the Long Range Facilities Master Plan. The 131 elementary schools are below 95% capacity. The district has a quality pre-K educational program and can fulfill its mission in its own school facilities. Because citizens lose their right to vote for the governing board members of the private operators.
Thank you, Ms. Tazian. Your time has expired. Rosario Zamudio, followed by Carol Mayo. Carol Mayo, followed by Ola Allen. Camille White, followed by Judy Bryant.
Good evening. My name is Camille White. I do reside at 10212 Carolina Oaks Drive, Dallas, Texas, 75227. And I am here to speak in opposition of Senate Bill 1882 and the preschools that you are selecting to have as our charter schools. My reason for not only what echoes of a lot of what everybody else has been saying, speaking of transparency on the topic, is also pertaining to the fact that you really just, even reading through the contracts, you really just don't know how much money is actually going to the school. Currently under SRI, the schools apparently are receiving $26,000 a year, which is not enough to operate. And of that $26,000, $5,000 has to go to an administrator. Now, if that is going to transfer also to the current Senate Bill 1882, which they don't have enough to operate, and a lot of others have declined to even participate with the SRIs because of that situation, how are you going to fund these schools? How are we going to be assured that our kids, once they do finish this program, that they will be ready and reading on task once they get in the first grade? We understand that DISD does have pre-Ks, have been running pre-Ks for a number of years, have done an excellent job at running pre-Ks. So I'm not really clear why we are using monies that are needed for DISD campuses, and not only that, for our communities, our schools, our kids, because we are already losing kids to charters. So parents are disgruntled because of the fact that you're not doing what we need to be doing, marketing, letting them know that DISD is a great school and we have great things going on here. I also want to make sure that the child care group, which is one of the many 5 that are on the list, is also not utilized. I have nothing against them. I have read over the packet. I see that they do a good job. It's just the fact that they are not a DISD provider for children, which is very important. Also, as far as the rate of return, will DISD make money off of this? If we're not making any money off of it, regardless, it doesn't make sense. Because of the fact that it was just stated we're losing money, we definitely don't need this project in our communities. Another reason is that as far as location is concerned, Head Start has closed several schools in the southern sector. None of these schools are located in the southern sector but one, and that one was the Heavenly that was mentioned, that was the Christian school. Therefore, I'm asking that you vote against these proposals as far as having these charter schools in our district, and we don't want them at all.
Thank you, Ms. White. Thank you. Judy Bryant, followed by Omar Jimenez.
Yes, good evening, Dr. Hinojosa and school board members. I'm Judy Bryant. I live at 6900 Skillman, number 804, Dallas. I'm a retired 32-year DISD teacher, a 30-plus year member of Alliance AFT, and I am now the field organizer for Texas Alliance for Retired Americans. We are very strong supporters of public education, and we echo all the things that you have already heard about these proposed pre-K charter partnerships. We have wonderful pre-K teachers in DISD. We have plenty of schools that have plenty of room to accommodate these students, and our students have proven that they do improve. The thing that upsets me the most is that I live in the Richardson School District. One of these schools, the Heavenly Christian Academy, is on Plano Road in Richardson, and I believe you have a picture of that I passed out. Do you have that picture? It is a storefront. When I found out that it was one of the schools on the partnership, it's item 8.21 on the agenda, I was amazed because I knew it was close to a favorite restaurant, Thai restaurant, and Sonic. And you can look at it. It is a daycare center. It's not a school. It has 65 children that they're licensed for, ages 6 weeks to 12 years. And it's in the Richardson School District. I'm sorry, it's not really that close to any Dallas facilities. And if we're going to be spending taxpayer money, I don't think our Dallas ISD taxpayers want to spend money on a Richardson school. I certainly don't want my Richardson school taxes spent on a Dallas school, in spite of the fact, like I said, I'm a 32-year teacher. This school, I taught prenatal care and child development to students for 20 years at Maya Angelou High School. And I taught our students about what to look for in a good preschool program. If a preschool program is a good place, it's going to be accredited by the National Association for the Education of Young Children. The only thing this says is that they've been approved by the Texas Department of Protective Services. So I would implore you not to approve any of these partnerships, but especially not this Christian Academy partnership. Need I remind you of separation of church and state? Thank you.
Omar Jimenez, followed by Rena Honing.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Omar Jimenez. I live at 1639 Cedar Bluff Lane in Dallas, 75253 in District 4. I want to echo and register my opposition against all the charter contracts that you all will be voting on tonight, and a lot of the concerns that the community has come before you to discuss about, I agree with. But here's one thing that has not been mentioned. Why are we providing these monies to these other charter schools that do not promote us even? I'm sure, and we all know, that DISD is already a good district. So why are we providing all this money for these charter schools to Uplift, to Harmony, to all the other schools? It's almost like we are shooting ourselves in the foot. We're shooting ourselves upon the foot because we just want to do whatever it is that we can just to make a quick buck here and there. That's how I see that. That is how I see that. And it's really nerve-wracking that, once again, we probably know how it's going to go. I probably know that my trustee will vote for it. We kind of know what's going to happen. But when the community comes here month after month after month trying to tell you to do not pass this legislation, it's almost like they are wasting their time, and we're talking to a wall. The community does not want this. So look into your hearts to do the right thing for the community. Not for your donors, not to satisfy anybody. Just do it for the community, because this is what the community wants. Let's talk about the budget. The budget is a big issue. And my concern was, okay, HB 3 that was passed in the legislative session this year was supposed to provide full-day pre-K for everyone. Well, how does this partnership affect HB 3? And it seems that we don't have that answer yet. I even tried to reach out to the CFO, and there was no way to contact our CFO right now. There was a lot of questions that I would like asked about our budget, and look at our neighboring districts. Everybody's getting a raise. All the teachers, all the support staff's getting a raise, but Why is the ISD not doing it? Is it because they're going to do it through TEI, which we still have issues? And other school districts, I don't see them doing a TEI. Everybody's just, giving them the raises. So our support staff, our teachers deserve a raise. We need to make sure that we provide everybody with full day pre-K. We don't need this partnership. I echo everything that all these speakers have mentioned against this partnership. So please vote against this partnership once again.
Rena Honey, followed by Christina Ray.
Good evening, President Henry. Congrats. Trustees and Superintendent Hinojosa. I'm Rena Honey, President of Alliance AFT, Local 2260, 334 Center Street in Dallas. I'm speaking on Agenda Item 8.66, consider and take possible action to adopt, including notice of funding lag, the 2019-2020 fiscal year budget. As we're all aware, especially our district employees, compensation gains in the last several years for Dallas ISD have been non-existent or very minimal at best. Many have not seen any kind of increase, and many have experienced a decrease in their take-home pay due to increased premiums in health care and day-to-day essentials. It's been discouraging, demoralizing, and caused for many employees to leave Dallas ISD to find employment elsewhere. But I'd like to think that this trend is turning in a new direction with the proposed budget documents that are before you tonight. With a district the size of Dallas and the number of employees that must be considered, the monumental task of preparing a budget that is fair and that the hard workers are respected and appreciated is difficult. While all details of the proposed budget and how each employee will be affected are not fully understood, there is a recognition that a lot of work has gone into what we see this evening. And some believe that this administration is finally recognizing that improved student achievement, upkeep of the facilities, having sufficient materials and supplies, and strong, experienced, compassionate campus leaders are key ingredients to get to the Dallas to be the premier school district it can and should be. While there's still work to be done, this budget is a step in the right direction. With the strategic initiatives taking place for our students, their success will not happen without well-compensated, respected, and valued people to carry out this work. Thank you for your consideration and the opportunity to share these thoughts with you this evening.
Christina Ray, followed by Sheila Walker.
Christina Ray, 4528 Rusk Avenue, Dallas, 75204. Good evening, distinguished board members and fellow DISD employees and others. I'm honored to be allowed to speak to you all this evening concerning the new compensation package, and for the most part, thank you for the time and effort you put into this plan. However, as a 37-year Dallas ISD teacher and an exemplary, too, DTR teacher, I have concerns about the TEI program and the related compensation package. For clarification, the TEI stands for Texas Teacher Excellence Initiative. DTR stands for Distinguished Teacher Review. The initials DTR can also refer to teachers who participate in this program. Although, according to the Dallas ISD website, the system is supposed to build and sustain a positive and supportive school culture. It's also supposed to be an objective way to measure effectiveness. The system is not accomplishing what it was intended to do. Teachers are not motivated, but they're often stressed and demoralized. As school opens, they struggle with lengthy papers about what they've done over the last 2 years. They struggle to figure out among their transient student population who they have to put in the student learning objective, and then they have to write another essay about that. They live in fear of test scores. They adjust the lessons for spot observations, and sometimes they restart their instruction to satisfy the rubric that the principals are using when they score them. They anguish over whether the students are going to like them enough to give them a good survey. They gather students in the fall to get that SLO done again, And then they look over their shoulders to see who on campus might be taking credit for their work and their ideas. They won't work on projects or committees that are not directly related to DTR. We fostered an uneven, competitive environment that recognizes those who best understand rubrics and data, not the system that values cooperation, collaboration, and excellent teaching. This is the system that rewards our teachers. Dallas ISD teachers don't separate TEI from money. New teachers arrive with these dollar signs in their eyes. All they want to know is how to get DTR. After a few tries at increasing their scores, even working in teams or groups, attending workshops, spending hours writing and rewriting their accomplishments to fit the DTR rubric, I observe a lot of these people, they just get tired. They leave the district, they're disenchanted, they're less engaged, and they're disheartened. Please rethink your support for the TEI initiative and consider a more holistic approach. I know Austin loves it, but it's really not the best plan. I said that, but please let me take one last moment to thank you for my colleagues that are not on the TEI system, who this year, according to the plan I saw, hopefully will get a raise. Please think of a system that will treat them fairly in the future, too. Thank you.
Sheila Walker, followed by Hope B. Lee.
Hi, my name is Sheila Walker. I'm the Executive Vice President of NEA Dallas, and I'm speaking tonight about the lag in the budget. As I look over all of the items on the agenda tonight, it talks about a lag because we can't understand it. Although we had a presentation and we appreciate it, we can't understand it. And we talk about mostly the TEI. I'm not on TEI. I'm a support personnel. So TEI doesn't affect me. So I don't think that the money that the state sent to us should be funding the TEI. And as it looks, a lot of the money is funding TEI. The state didn't buy TEI. Dallas ISD did. Why are we a cookie-cutter district? Every time we get a raise, it's what? 2%. And then our insurance goes up, and it eats up the 2%. I have a list of here of districts, other districts, if anybody want to come get, other districts that show you how much raises the other districts received. Other districts receive from 4, 5, 6, some of them up to 10%. So why do we continue to get 2% on our raises? A lot of us can't afford it, can't afford our insurance. 2% is only going to eat up our insurance. So I asked Dallas ISD to continue to look over the budget. We appreciate everything that you're putting into it because I know it's hard. But the state sent us a certain amount of money, and a certain percent is supposed to go for raises, for compensation. Please do right by us and make sure that we're compensated. Thank you.
Hope B. Lee, followed by Vivian Bryant.
Good evening, Dr. Hinojosa and trustees. My name is Hope B. Lee. My address is 4928 Steeplechase Court in Grand Prairie, Texas. And I've worked at William Anderson Blair for 19 years, so I spend about 10 hours a day, so I basically reside at Blair. I've served as a teacher as well as a community liaison, and my school is in District 9. Congratulations, Trustee Henry. I'm here this evening speaking on behalf of NEA Dallas as well as all employees of the district. I'm speaking on item 914. We want to first thank the capital management team for helping us to understand what was in the budget. We were pleased to be a part of that process. After leaving that, we started getting all the news about all the raises and the amounts that were coming out of other districts, and which caused concern about how we were going to explain what's coming down the pipe for us. So I asked you trustees to give me 5. My first 5 is to, number 1, is to provide transparency regarding the new monies that were sent. How much did we receive, and what percentage is actually going to go into staff allocations apart from administration. Number 2, give me 5, is please don't spend any of the monies on TEI. And number 3 is please give the finance team more time to go back and look at the budget. They didn't have a long time after it was passed to figure out how they were going to process this, how they were going to deal with TASB and all of those things, but to give them some time. And number 4, as you consider giving an increase, make sure the increase makes sense to every employee that's employed by the district so that they don't have to call in people to help them understand how they got their particular increase. When you have to have people to calculate how you earned your money over and over again. And number 5 is give me 5 is to give you 5, to give you time to take your time, your responsibility to make sure that you pass a transparent budget, even if it takes us into October to pass it. So again, I ask you to please give me 5.
Vivian Bryant, followed by Eric Martinez.
Good evening. I am Vivian Bryant. I reside at 4116 Scarsdale Lane in Dallas. And I would like to start out by thanking the state of Texas for finally providing the school district with funds to give teachers what I thought would be a substantial raise. The governor spoke of a $5,000 a year raise for all teachers. I thought this would be fantastic, especially since Texas is $6,000 below the national average. This would give us an opportunity to be closer to the national average and to move away from the bottom 1/3 of states based on teacher salaries. So I was out spreading the word, talking about how wonderful this would all be for teachers with millions of dollars given to the school district, then divided by the number of people getting raises and knowing that we are in for a substantial raise. Then the state divided the funds between all school districts, and somehow the amount of money given did not come out as $5,000 a year for each teacher in the school district. It became very confusing to follow along with what we were told to expect from the state and what the school district actually plans to provide. Most of us can't even figure out what our raises will be because of the different jargon and percentages for this group and a different percentage for that group, all based on some average provided by a company that assesses how much money educators make nationally, then raises given, and then that information is tied to TEI and our raises given based on how we are categorized in TEI. This is very confusing. Other districts base their raises on the amount of experience that teachers have and not their scores on a teacher effectiveness tool. This seems to be less confusing and more understandable. These districts gave 3 to 7% raises and not 2 to 3% raises. I am still confused by the way that our raises have been calculated. Maybe we should revamp or look at the money provided by the state for raises and figure out a way to make the raises more equitable across the board. Raises that provide teachers with $100 to $200 more in their monthly checks that are then reduced by an increase in health insurance premiums are unacceptable. Thank you.
Eric Martinez, followed by Elizabeth Forrest.
Good evening, board members. My name is Eric Martinez. I reside at 1220 Sunny Glen Drive in Dallas, and I also teach at Sigleville Middle School. So I'm here to talk to you today about the proposed budget. That will be agenda item 8.66, and you're provided with a handout that I would like to refer to. So if you could please locate that. It has a table at the top with the title, Experience with TEI over the course of my teaching career. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the numbers. And really, in the 3 years I've been teaching, I've gained $3,000 in my salary. And to me, that has just not kept up with the cost of living. And really, it's encouraged me to move to another district, say Irving, which pays more for that experience in teaching. So part of the reason that I've been limited in that salary has been because of TEI and its restrictions. And specific, in the first 2 years, you're restricted to progressing 1 or progressing 2. And so now here we are entering my 4th year in teaching, and I'm very excited to do that. I feel like I've grown as a teacher. However, now I'm faced with an evaluation that, in my opinion, is the worst I've received so far. And that's because CEI is not subjective. Instead, a new principal is now overseeing me, and interestingly enough, my entire department received very, very low ratings. So I'm worried that districts, and this is also on that handout I provided for you, like Austin, Houston, Round Rock, Katy, they're seeing increases of 3 to 7% and just flat across the board increases in salaries that compensate teachers for success and the drive that they put in every day to make each district successful. Dallas, in the time I've been here, and specifically Siegel Middle School, in the time I've been here, has done tremendous strides in becoming a more successful school. And yet, that is not very clear when its workers, including our support staff, are not compensated correctly. And speaking with a lot of our custodians, they are barely making ends meet. And that is not acceptable for a district like that of Dallas ISD, which serves thousands of students and definitely has the means to an end to provide better for them. So I encourage the district to please review the decision for teachers on the teacher end to increase their salaries based on TEI, which may not be a possibility if their evaluators are not being subjective as they're supposed to be, and instead to consider a flat increase for teachers and all support staff so that we can keep the success of the district moving forward, retain all the staff that are putting in work day after day to make each school successful, and by extent, this district successful. Thank you for your time.
Elizabeth Forrest, followed by Andrew Kirk. Andrew Kirk, followed by Linda Barrett.
Good evening. I'm a DISD alumnus, teacher, and parent. I've come to ask that the district honor its commitment to teachers and support staff who commit to supporting our students each and every day. Specifically, with additional monies available from HB 3 and last fall's tax ratification vote, I believe compensation should be increased to be more commensurate with the value education workers in Dallas create. As this meeting is drawn closer, Dallas ISD employees have undoubtedly followed news stories about other Texas school districts, including most recently Grand Prairie, awarding across-the-board raises to staff and teaching faculty. These raises not only ensure that districts remain competitive in recruitment, they also stimulate interest in our profession among prospective teachers who see that their contributions will be respected. I wish to state my support for the portions of the budget addressing teachers, but ask that support staff be included. This is especially crucial once the cost of health insurance is taken into account. Many district employees can't even afford to cover our own families as premiums rise, but compensation does not. A number of district employees are already driving for ride-hailing services or taking on additional part-time work to close these financial gaps. My son was born last week, and in conversations with my wife, covering him with my own insurance was out of the question. Why? Because the monthly premium would increase by over 300% after adding him as a dependent. While the state funds our health benefits, districts have the ability to decide how those monies are allocated, and trustees have a responsibility to ensure that our work is appropriately valued. I ask that you all take that responsibility seriously, following the lead of other districts who have already done so. Thank you.
Linda Barrett, followed by Michael Gonzalez.
Good evening, President Flores, trustees, and Dr. Hinojosa. My name is Linda Barrett, and I reside at 1700 Apache Court, DeSoto, Texas. I'm a Dallas ISD trainer for CDL drivers. I'm a special needs driver. I am a trainer for monitors I am a mentor, and I work at the Longview Service Center. And I am a member of the Alliance AFT Local 2260. I'm hereby tonight glad to be here to speak in behalf of the increased proposal for my colleagues of the librarians, counselors, and nurses, and non-TEI teachers. And I'm glad that they are finally being able to get a proposal for their raises, that they're finally being considered to have their raises, and I hope that they are going to be respected to have a nice chunk of a raise. And this reminds me, I have a sister. I'm not really from Texas. I've been here for about 16 years, but I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And my sister, I only have one sister, and she is a teacher. She's a retired teacher, and I love her very much. And I remember how she had to leave home to go teach. And she stayed away from home for about 12 years before she was able to come back to her hometown and just to make a living. So I have great respect for these teachers and the librarians. We all are a team. I'm a transportation worker, and I stand with all of them. So I support all of them. Our monitors, they didn't get a raise last year, and I'm very happy that we did, but we don't leave none of them behind. Our veteran monitors, they were trained right here in this building. And so when I say veteran monitors, they were trained right here. They were trained by certified nurses, and they didn't get their raises either. So, but I'm very thankful that we did. But as for the teachers, librarians, custodial workers, and everybody else, give them a raise, and a nice chunky raise. I thank you very much.
Michael Gonzalez, followed by Rosemary Kurtz.
Hello, my name is Michael Gonzalez. I reside at 1121 Beachview Street, Dallas, Texas, 75218. And I'm just here to speak on the proposed budget for the upcoming school year. And I want to say that saw an overall increase in wages, which is good. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough for our support staff and our veteran teachers. And I just wanted to say that if we want to show respect for our kids and the parents in the community that we think we ostensibly say they deserve, then I think we need to be showing that respect to the teachers that teach them, and by doing so, do so by giving them enough resources and higher wages that are commensurate with that. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Rosemary Kurtz, followed by Julius Ashola.
My name is Rosemary Kurtz. I live at 2511 Wedgeley Drive, Dallas, Texas 75211. I'm speaking tonight regarding this year's budget proposal. There are things that I like about the proposal that I saw. I'm glad that after having been forgotten for several years, our counselors, nurses, and media specialists are finally seeing a substantial raise. However, I do have concerns that our support staff were not treated as well as they should be in this budget. Although they were given a slight raise last school year, we now have the funding to give them a fair raise that does more than simply try to keep up with rising insurance and living costs. I hope before school board members give the budget their final approval, they will be sure to remember the staff that is often the backbone of a school. The pay raises for teachers like me are a positive first step in the right direction, but one primary purpose of the funds given to us by the state legislature was to provide more money to our veteran teachers. This is an important thing for this district in particular to remember. Right now, our district operates based on the dysfunctional TEI system, which rewards teachers primarily for teaching to the test and for using increasingly meaningless buzz phrases in our classrooms. It does not reward teachers who have devoted their lives to these careers, who are truly and clearly in the profession for the right reasons. I hope that before school board members give their budget their final approval, they will be sure to remember the teachers that have been forgotten and unappreciated for their decades of service since the TEI system was put into effect. Lastly, our district is often looking for any way to secure more funding. We will be getting an influx of funds this year, both from the TRE passed in November and from the state legislature. Another way that some board members want to secure funding is to take advantage of the SB 1882 money by partnering with privately owned pre-K operators. This means that taxpayer money will be handed over to undemocratically selected boards. In particular, the board is voting tonight on 4 partnerships with Mi Escuelita, a pre-K provider that proudly touts its connections to Uplift, a charter school network. Mi Escuelita prepares its students to attend Uplift schools. As our board members think about our budget tonight and budgets in the future, please consider this. Dallas ISD is losing students to charter schools, resulting in less funding and more recapture money owed to the state. Voting to support partnerships with Mi Escuelita means voting not only to losing more kids to Uplift charter schools, but actually paying money for a program to divert these kids to charter schools. Although I am against SB 1882 partnerships entirely, I understand how they may look to some as a good chance to secure more funding. But that funding is negated if it results in more students leaving DISD, which is what Mi Escuelita partnerships will do. I urge all board members to vote against all the SB 1882 partnership items, but in particular the partnerships that do not have a promise and a plan to do their best to funnel their students into our schools.
Julius Ashola, followed by Natalia DeRue.
Hey, how y'all doing today? 3150 Cliff Creek Crossing, Dallas, Texas, District 8. My name is Julius Ashola. The kids call me Mr. I. I'm a teacher and parent. I work with the FLS, Special Education Department at Winnetka Elementary. This past school year, I coached my FLS babies in basketball. We received 5 gold medals in the Special Olympics, 2 first-place ribbons, 2 second-place ribbons, a 3rd and the 4th place ribbon in the track and field event. I even potty trained a FLS student who was in the 3rd grade. He'll be walking to the 4th grade using the restroom on his own. I'm an entrepreneur, but that's another story. I would like everyone to give a quick round of applause to the school board trustees and educators that work hard day and night to provide a quality education for our students. At times, we focus too often on the negative and we don't consider the positive impact that our faculty and staff is actually making in the community. I'm a member of Texas Organizing Projects, TOPS. We're doing a lot of great things here in the community. In addition to that, we would like to make our stamp in the educational world to end the school-to-prison pipeline system. I would like to call everyone's attention to participatory budgeting. We have some flyers that's been provided, I believe, and I'm speaking on participatory budgeting. We're going to say PB for short. PB is going to educate and give students, parents, and educators an opportunity to spend a portion of the school's budget. PB is an opportunity for the students to get real-life experience connected with what they're already learning in the classroom from our great teachers and to really see the power of using their voice. Alongside the help of Dallas ISD, we're creating future leaders. As parents and students, we see the needs of our schools. And if one of my students had a say in the materials needed in the FLS department, they would probably say invest in some iPads. Because our students learn differently, especially those with autism. So having that tool will be essential towards better educating one of my babies. School districts and colleges around the nation has added PB to their curriculum, and the outcome is amazing. By lifting up students' and parents' voices and involving the entire school in meaningful civic experiences. Participatory budgeting will help strengthen Dallas ISD culture. PB will result in more effective school spending. It will generate new ideas to address the school and community needs. We are Dallas. We are known as the city of learning. In the community, would like for Dallas ISD school board members to consider adding PB to the school year's budget. Thank you for listening.
Natalia DeRue, followed by Laquita Melton. Laquita Melton. Are you speaking?
Okay. Hello, my name is Laquita Melton. I'm a parent, a PTA member, and SBDM member. I am a top member out of Pleasant Grove. Because of this, myself and others in the community see firsthand where parts of the district budget should be utilized. For example, but definitely not limited to, AC units, more staff, and consumable educational materials. I believe if the district allows the community, including parents, students, and staff, to be a part of the budgeting process moving forward, by having a voice and a vote on how it should be spent, it would have a positive outcome. Additionally, including students in the process would make an even greater educational impact. Their involvement would cultivate a culture and responsibility of voting. Students would leave DISD more invested in civic partnership, something very important for Dallas, a city with devastatingly low voter turnout. With that being said, I would like to ask that you put PB in place or participatory budgeting in place in the future budgeting process.
John Ford, followed by Delna Bryant.
Good evening. President Edwin Flores, members of the board, and Superintendent Michael Hinojosa. My name is John Ford, and I'm at William Brown Miller Elementary School. I live at 2519 Husband Avenue, Dallas, Texas, 75216. I've been with the district since October 1996, and at Miller since January 2005. And I'm here to speak on behalf of support staff, and I have some people standing with me from NEA, and on behalf of teacher assistants and paraprofessionals. The percentage of which raises are given doesn't contend with the rising costs in society set after the past recession period, where premium rises and balanced budgets for necessity differ in living, making ends meet. They now are causing struggles and stress in the lives of educators. I render this as a request. While budgeting general revenue counts, consider again your percentage for a raise for assistance. Try to incorporate the losses of many support staff educators and make considerations to include your, not 2%, but 3%, and give us a little more, a higher percentage, so that when the premiums go up, educators can see the raise that you're giving. It looks like we've been holding and then having to give it back. Local government agencies use methods that increased our costs for use. Businesses increases fall on consumers like educators, and necessities do not go away. If one cares to be spoken well of, one would do well things rather than ill ones. Don't take time from educators to cause them to work multiple things and make educators work more, but allow educators to educate, use time to plan, and gather tools to teach. Man schools with what is required in class without the worries and stress of how am I going to make it? I don't have enough. It's a known fact that when a person is accommodated in doing a thing, you get better results. Stop hurting those you have, but help the efforts for success. Think about the percentage rate for raises. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak.
Delna Bryant, followed by Bill Betson.
Good evening. My name is Delna Bryant, and I'm wearing two hats. First, I'm the president of NEA Dallas. And second, I am a Spanish teacher in Dallas ISD. But how can you accept a grievous wrong done to your colleagues and stay silent? Martin Luther King told us that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. I would like to commend those from Human Capital Management that came to our office and talked to us about the budget. But there's something wrong with the budget. I will ask that you go back to the drawing table and look at that. The budget becomes a mystery. It becomes a quagmire. It becomes a quandary every time we look at it. Getting our scorecards in September for TEI is going to open a whole new keg of worms. This is not the budget that should be passed tonight. Our colleagues are going to be bemused by some of the responses that you will have. TEI that evaluate us is a complex instrument. It's an instrument that we did not buy into. It's an affront to listen to El Paso, Brownsville, Houston, Austin, giving their teachers, their librarians, their counselors across the board a decent raise. How do I feel as a teacher? Now, I am putting the shoe on my foot. For the last 6 years, I have not gotten a raise because of TEI. I was a master teacher under PDOS. When I was asked, would you like to be a DTR teacher, I said no. I did not buy into it. And because of that, my salary was frozen for the last 6 years. I am now appealing to your sense of fair play. Reevaluate the budget that you have proposed before you this evening. Reevaluate TEI. And please labor and be fair to us as teachers, librarians, nurses, whatever we are in the educational support staff of your district. Please respect us.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. Bill Betson, followed by Gilbert Leal.
President Henry, Dr. Hinojosa, and honorable trustees. This is the first time I will address this board configuration. And while I was sitting back, I realized the majority of you are younger than my youngest daughter. And some of you are even younger than two of my grandkids. I guess I'm feeling like an old guy, you know. But anyhow, it's interesting to watch the time. But I have been encouraged. The new members I've seen in operation have been acting with transparency. And they've been saying the right things. And I just hope the actions follow what you're saying, because nothing will continue the process of improvement in our district more than transparency, period. Now, what we're transparent about, we can disagree, but as long as we're public, that's what makes the big piece. And that's why I support everybody who's talking about 1882 and the charter school issues, the contracts. And the transparency was the first evidence when you tried to sneak them all 10 through on the consent agenda with no discussion. And then did it again with this agenda. And this agenda had 99 items on it on the consent agenda. I think that is the most consent agenda items in history in DISD. I would love to be corrected, but unfortunately, I think I'm right. Now, I'm actually here to speak about the pulled agenda item 917 regarding the forming of the 2020 Bond Committee. I would say I watched the operation of the 2015 Bond Committee, but I don't think anybody did. It was secret. It was hidden. There is no written record about it. There is no written record about it anywhere. People did not know what was coming. When the bond finally was made public, there was an uproar, and a couple of y'all had to heal those wounds. Remember the 2 schools they were going to close in West Dallas? I mean, every single school west of Hampton Road, or east of Hampton Road, to make way for the developers, to help scare out the families. That isn't the way a school district works. And those 2 community schools right next to recreation centers need to be made into K-8 schools so they can become the best in the area. Then you can go ahead and build the K-8 you're talking about in the old Pinkston. But do the ones in the community first. And now that you're forming a new bond committee, make it transparent. Publicize the meetings. Take public testimony. Make a record of all the documents handed in. Put them all online. We need to know what's happened before the final shoe falls. Thank you.
Gilbert Lael, followed by Marcella Landon.
Well, that Bill Bedson is a tough act to follow. My name is Gilbert Liao, and I'm not here with anybody else, just solo. No T-shirts behind me. I wish I did have a few. I've got a few ideas, big thought ideas, not related to the organization. Well, first of all, about the bond election. I know that our schools are aging 50-plus years. They do need improvements on the infrastructure. But we have to think maybe a little out of the box, since there's a lot of people that could gain work experience working with these contractors. I'm talking about students. There is, not to my knowledge, a program in DISD for students to do and learn on-the-job training, theory, construction. Do you know how many construction jobs there are in this area? And Mexicanos, they do a lot of the work, which leads me to my next point, that you get this bond election passed, if it passes, and you're going to hire these contractors that they're making all the plans, but who ends up doing the actual work, the actual labor? It's Mexicanos. Am I wrong? I mean, they are the biggest construction workers probably in this nation. Imagine this. If you had a program, if this bond election passes, and you recruit kids from high schools, say Bryan Adams, say they need improvements. So you get kids, create this program to where they can work as apprentices under the leadership of the contractors. They will get on-the-job training, and then the next time, I'm saying just take one school at a time, not the whole mess. Experiment with one thing, kind of like the U.S. experimented with Colorado for weed. It turns out it wasn't chaos and crime in the streets. It was actually kind of smooth. So we do that with one school, get a lot of people, students, internships, and they learn all this cool stuff. So, and they will have that pride in years to come to say, hey, I helped develop that new wing of Bryan Adams. That would be really awesome. And if that works, then you do it to the next school and the next school. So you've got schools in Oak Cliff. You get the high school students out there. And I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking out the box because we have to make the most of bond money. We keep getting in this rut every 5 years. It's another bond election, another bond election. When does it quit? Well, bond money is not free money. So maybe why don't we make the most of it as long as we are going to spend it and include some of the kids? Thank you.
Marcella Landon, followed by Barbara Gotcha.
Good evening, trustees and guests. My name is Marcella Landon. I currently attend Thomas Jefferson High School, and I reside in the address 9501 Brockbank Drive, Dallas, Texas 75220. I'm here in the hope today of bringing your attention to a crisis that is happening in the 18 high schools of the Dallas area that offer collegiate academy programs, otherwise known as PTECs. I believe collegiate academies were started with great intentions. However, the enthusiasm and excitement it generated caused many to forget some of the long-term consequences that would come to the students who did not participate in the program. According to Dallas ISD, regulations for students entering high school 2014 and 2015 and thereafter, dual credit classes weigh towards GPA exactly 9 points, with pre-AP weighing 8 and regular state courses only 7 points. The ISD is a district that uses weighted GPA to determine a student's class rank. Keeping this in mind, the Collegiate Academy allows students to take up to 60 hours of dual credit classes because it is their goal to graduate with an associate's degree. Therefore, their entire curriculum is made up of dual credit courses, unlike the curriculum of regular students, and these classes carry a significant amount of GPA weight. Students who do not participate in this special program are drastically left behind when trying to compete with Collegiate Academy students who are being ranked together as part of the same class. There is a clear barrier imposing students outside of PTech from having a fair chance in the competition for class rank. Using my school as an example, according to the schedule provided on the school's website, by 12th grade, all of their classes will be dual credit, as opposed to the maximum of about 5 advanced placement courses regular 12th graders can take at Thomas Jefferson. Here, PTech's 3 areas of study allow students to begin taking dual credit classes as early as the beginning of 9th grade. But on the other hand, regular students are not allowed to begin taking dual credit until 11th grade and must be during the summer at the nearest community college. The student has to find his own transportation and may even be required to pay for textbooks. If the student somehow manages to overcome the transportation and financial problems, they are still only allowed to take up to 2 classes because of the fast pace the courses are taught during the summer. This makes it nearly impossible for students who lack these opportunities to compete with Collegiate Academy who have clearly the upper hand. These are just a few of the many disadvantages that are affecting the hard work and dedication many students have put in to be at the top of their class in hopes of getting into a good university. Class ranking is greatly violated by universities since GPA is a reflection of our entire high school years, and is especially important here in Texas. As many know, Texas universities offer automatic admissions to the top 10% of students from a graduating class. For this reason, many students' chances of being admitted into a certain university are being negatively affected. Therefore, I'm here asking the board to help find an urgent solution so that this issue will no longer deny students equal opportunities. I believe that DISD is a school district that does not leave students behind, and I hope I'm able to show you how important this is.
Thank you, Ms. Landon. Barbara Gotcha, followed by Mary Smith.
My name is Barbara Gotcher. I reside at 1100 Cross Bend Court, Irving, Texas, 75061. I am a teacher at Molina High School. I am speaking tonight about the proposed salary increases. Firstly, I would like to thank the board for including salary increases for our support and operations staff. Prior to becoming a teacher, I worked in the maintenance department here. We work very hard to support our teachers and students, but we are largely unseen, and there are many deserving folks who have not been compensated as they should. So thank you for including our friends in our proposals. With the passing of HB 3, districts across the state are raising salaries anywhere from 4% to as much as 10%. Somehow the current proposal of 2.5% seems pathetic. As I see it, the root cause of our salary issues in this district stem from the artificial constraints imposed by TEI. Rather than hammer on TEI, I will limit my remarks to the compensation structure of TEI. TEI does not recognize advanced degrees such as master's, doctorate, or industry certification in the case of our CATE teachers, nor does it compensate teachers for pursuing advanced degrees. As a working professional with an advanced degree and 20-plus years of working in my industry before becoming a teacher, I find this insulting and demoralizing. A visible result of this is that one of my Townview friends is leaving the district that will pay him a higher base salary and will pay him to pursue his master's degree and eventually his doctorate. As teachers, we are heavily encouraged, read voluntold, to apply for DTR, Distinguished Teachers. The amount of extra work is daunting. Unfortunately, the rewards are not commensurate. The pay increase is not sufficient to compensate for the amount of work required to qualify, and the pay increase is temporary. Many of my DTR teacher friends have said they will not apply again. It was not worth it. This week, one of my DTR friends called me to let me know she was leaving the district for another school that is giving her a $10,000 raise. As part of the TEI model, stipends for extracurricular activities are being phased out. What we're being told is that our base pay through TEI will be sufficient to compensate for the extra time we spend with our kids. This is nowhere near the truth. Depending on the sport or activity, a teacher may spend an additional 40 hours a week outside of regular class time. My academic decathlon friend is right now preparing to give up 2 weeks of summer vacation to lead a summer camp for his kids. Dallas's current stipend level would be laughable if it were not actually appalling when compared to other districts. My neighbor across the street who teaches science and coaches soccer told me that he is leaving this district for another district that offered him a pay raise and a stipend that was 3 times as much as what he was receiving for coaching in Dallas. If Dallas ISD wants to retain the best teachers, it needs to abandon the TEI model. It is time for Dallas to start paying its teachers what they are truly worth.
Mary Smith, followed by Diane Birdwell.
Good evening. My name is Mary Smith, and I live at 109 Larchbrook Drive in DeSoto, Texas. I'm a media specialist and a member of NEA Dallas. After the Texas legislature passed a measure providing money for teacher raises, school districts were formalizing their budgets that included the increase. It's up to each school district to decide how the money would be distributed. Large districts everywhere are rewarding those that have been with the district over 5 years with either higher percentages of a raise and an additional one-time payment of $1,000. So many districts have been transparent with what they are giving their employees, and I wonder when are we going to let our employees know exactly how much they're going to be receiving. Some districts are giving as much as 10%, as well as 8.49% to those with 6 or more years of experience. Enrollment for insurance is coming up, but how do we know what to sign up for when we don't know exactly how much money we're going to be receiving on our raise? As someone who's been with the district for 24 years and as a media specialist, we are not on the TEI system, a system that does not work for our teachers. Those of us that are not on TEI did not receive raises for the past 2 years, and then finally last year in 2018 we received a raise, but with higher insurance premiums the raise got eaten up. Why can't DISD offer a better deal to veteran educators, those of us with over 10 to 15 years of experience? We've hung in here despite all of the challenges that the district has faced. So it's time for us as veteran educators to be rewarded. 2% is not a reward.
Diane Birdwell, followed by Landers Marshall Isom III.
To the new people, you'll learn my face very quickly. I'm Diane Birdwell. I live at 5705 Meadowick, just 3 blocks away, so I'm here a lot. I'm representing NEA Dallas. As you come up with the budget to vote on for pay, I want to make sure that you understand what's gone on for the new members who haven't lived here back in Dallas very long or have been somewhere else. We're not on a salary schedule like cops are, like soldiers are, like every other independent school district in Texas is. We are exception with TEI, and they made dang sure down in Austin that the merit pay would get the money, and these guys would determine how we get our pay. No one else is having to go through this. Let me tell you what happened. We had people go down to Austin to testify. They had to wait all day while someone from DISD was able to go, and that person actually said, representing our district, that they didn't believe that every teacher in the district deserved a raise. I went home, laid down on my couch, and cried, not because I was sad, but because I was so angry I wanted to break the television set. That's what we're up against here, when our own leadership doesn't support us. Words matter. The student survey needs to go away. Did y'all know that neutral on the survey is counted as a negative? Bet you didn't know that. I also had students say, yeah, I'm going to give that B word a bad evaluation. I don't like her. She failed me in Spanish. They use it as revenge against us. It's a joke. Also, for the executive staff and the superintendent, please stop the fake growth. If I'm making 2s and 2.5s in April, how do I drop to 1s and 1.5s in the fall at the beginning of every year? so that some executive directors can justify their jobs and show that they are making growth happen on the campuses to justify PLCs and TEI. It's a joke. It's a failure of leadership. If your teacher makes a 2.5 in April and she makes a 1.5 in September, you're at fault, not her. Finally, kids are not data points on desks in binders. Gains on scores don't equate with college readiness, and TEI does not work for us together. Why did the district stop doing exit interviews when people resigned? You know why? Because you don't want to know why. As the salaries are increased, everyone's getting all happy, but if you raise the cut scores, then nobody's going to get the increase. That's the con job of TEI. You raise the cut scores. Instead of a 63, I now have to get a 70 to get a proficient 2, whatever, because I was an A, now I'm a C because I teach AP and not regular, and then these kids don't count for this. It's a con game. A friend of mine once said, in New York, the mafia goes to jail. The DISD never does because they play the game better. Thank you.
Landers Marshall Isom III, followed by Jimmy Hosh.
Good evening. My name is Landers Isom. I'm also a representative and member of TOP, and we are here to also discuss the results and the why when it comes to the failure of our students in DISD. The racial disparity and the disparities in income have a lot to do with it, and we have understood that it's going to take in that particular program to also help assist the teacher. So when we look at the responsibilities of our board, please remember that you are voted in individuals, and in the voted in operation, you are a representation of the people's well-being. Abraham Lincoln said any voted in body that ceased to look out for the well-being of the community and the people should be removed. So be mindful of your responsibilities going forward. Okay, so as we continue to speak about teachers' incomes and the things that are being brought forth with this charter issue, I always pay attention to the 4 W's, which is what's being sold, who's it being sold to, who's the seller, and who stands to gain the most from the sale. Okay? So when it comes to these charter schools, we had to address an issue. Why are we having charter school issues if the public school, the DISD, was fulfilling their responsibilities? There would be no holes in it for you to lose students, nor would be any problems addressed for charter schools to fill. So we really need to take a reflective look at your position and your responsibility. I myself am living here on Cedar Crest Boulevard, 2420. I'm an educator and a program director for a nonprofit organization that we have understood that there are certain things that have created the disparity in learning. There are gaps that need to be filled. Now, we understand that programming, as a man mentioned earlier, coming up in school, college wasn't necessarily for everyone. So we had an opportunity to create trades. But when you look at things like a budget and you begin to cut taxes here, raise taxes there, to my understanding, in the 80s, most of the social programs that were cut were for the at-risk and the endangered environments. So be mindful as you sit in your positions as board members, you have a responsibility to serve the people. You aren't in a position to serve yourself. Okay, so charter schools are coming in. It's already been established that the difference between success and failure can be interpreted merely by whoever is interpreting numbers. Statistics sway people only by the person that's giving them. Okay, so the numbers that you give us, truly, they aren't necessarily true, but I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Jimmy Hosh, followed by Kathy Chittum.
I'm Jimmy Hosh, 6715 Rolling Vista Drive, Dallas 75248. Superintendent Hinojosa, Chairman of the Board, members of the Board. I'm a representative of 350 Dallas, a grassroots organization advocating for clean energy and transportation to slow global warming and climate change. I want to thank you for your submission of an application for Volkswagen mitigation funds to pay a large portion of an electric school bus demonstration project. This project will allow us to measure the expected 30% lower operating costs for electric buses, the health benefits for children riding in those buses, and show community leadership moving away from fossil fuels and toward clean transportation of students. Now is the perfect time to follow through on the letter of interest in the Texas Renewable Energy Co-op, called TREC, that Dallas Independent School District signed in February. Using renewable electricity through TREC cleans the air and makes electric school buses truly zero-emission vehicles. Now that the TREC electricity bids are in, prices are firm, and the new solar farm has been identified to deliver the power, I encourage you to request a TREC contract for renewable solar power for 1/2 of the district's electricity needs starting on your next electricity contract. I am convinced your close examination of that contract will find, like other state agencies have found, that the 3 cents a kilowatt hour TREC power offer is the lowest price available. Without any capital cost and paying less for electricity, Dallas ISD can make a giant step forward using clean, renewable energy for cleaner air and reducing our carbon footprint to safeguard the climate for the students we are educating through our example. By signing on to TREC now, we can lock in the low-cost renewable energy for the district's next electricity contract. We will be ahead of the pack when the City of Dallas Climate Action Plan, that's going to be published next April, calls for the district to start using electric school buses and renewable electricity. Please follow through and sign on to the Texas Renewable Energy Co-op. Thank you.
Kathy Chittum, followed by Pauline Tatum.
I'm Kathy Ashmore Chittum, 7202 La Vista, 69 graduate of DISD W.H. Adamson High School. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your allowing me to speak with you this evening. I am here to make the board aware and thus give you the opportunity to correct the libelous accusations and harmful treatment of the Woodrow Wilson Sweetheart Drill Team and the decades-old Sweetheart Drill Team Booster Club. The 2018-19 Sweetheart Booster Club, despite a financially difficult start to the 67-line season, managed to raise approximately $26,000, of which every dime was directly spent on the Sweethearts. Despite the fact that Woodrow's principal, Mr. Michael Moran, is an honorary non-voting member of the Booster Club board, he never once attended a single board meeting, never inquired about Sweetheart activities, and never attended any fundraising events. Shortly after the 1st of April this year was the first time Mr. Moran ever decided to become involved in the Booster Club affairs. Since Drill Team is not a UIL-sanctioned activity, the Booster Club is therefore a 501c3 independent organization. When the Booster Club advised parents that owed 12-month past due bill balances that they would have to be paid in full before they could attend banquet, some complained to Mr. Moran. I provided a copy of the Booster Club bylaws that state this policy to each of you. The board had contacted DISD administration to clarify their position on the publication of financials and implementation of our bylaws, which you will find in your handout as Attachment D. We were told by the DISD general policy that DISD general policy, Mr. Moran and all administrators are forbidden to be involved in the governance and financial aspects of booster clubs. They were told Mr. Moran would be advised of this policy and told to comply. Despite this warning, Mr. Moran decided to hold a parent meeting to discuss not only director issues, but also demand that the Booster Club immediately publish all its financials. The Booster Club, as a private 501c3 entity, has never generally published its financials, but members of the Booster Club can attend any Booster Club meeting, whether a member or not, and all financial matters are discussed and voted upon. Mr. Moran has never attended any Booster Club meeting, despite being invited multiple times. Despite these rules, Mr. Moran, Mr. Castle, and Ms. Elizalde immediately took action to disenfranchise the Booster Club. Their stated reason was because the Booster Club would not follow the principal's directions. Subsequently, this group sought to disparage, slander, and block any and all fundraising for the benefit of the Sweethearts. To date, they are directly responsible for causing the Booster Club to lose an estimated $62,000 in fundraising this summer alone. Time constraints do not allow me to further explain details of DISD personnel wrongdoing and harassment, but I have included several attachments in your handouts dealing with administrative violations of DISD policy.
Thank you, Ms. Chittum.
Thank you.
Pauline Tatum, followed by Richard Sheridan.
Pauline Tatum, 2025 Randy Snow Road, 76011. I am a special education teacher at Sunset High School and coach of the first robotics competition special needs team, Robo Flash. Yeah. Today, we bring you a lesson on faith, hope, and encouragement. In the binder that I gave you this year, RoboFlash competed in 3 robotics competitions. 2 of the robotics competitions were against the general education population. It was first in Texas, in Plano. We had a record of 4, 6, and 0. We ranked 26. And this year, it was held in Dallas at Conrad High School, and our rank was 30, 5, 7, and 0. A frame of thought that we told the kids were the award ceremony, we cheer for our colleagues. As we sat there, the award said, "Congratulations to RoboFlash 6751. We won the first time in history the Gracious Professionalism Award." Is that? This is a lesson in faith. What I want you to understand in the pictures that you see, this team has special needs, autism, vision impairment. Meet Gabriel, meet Josh. Say hi, Josh. And we have 23 other members of the team. We're the only team in Texas that competes against the general education. The general education population. And also in UIL, we were ranked 150 out of 158 teams, and that's pretty good. I am not satisfied. My dream is simple. I want to bring that world championship home to Dallas Independent School District. My goal is simple. The mission to open the doors. Yes, they're special needs. Yes, they have autism, but they have minds. They have engineering skills. They can think, they can talk, and they can do it. I do leave at 10 o'clock at night, and Principal Vega says, "Please go home and stay them." And I smile. I said, "Yes, ma'am," even though I lied and still there. But I want the world to know these kids can. What happens is when they graduate, they move right into the mentor sector of first, and they still work with the robotics team. So they're working with the general education population. So thank you, and we'll see you next year. Thank you. And the picture's in your binder. We have to keep the word. We're sorry. On the last page, the picture's in your binder. Thank you.
Richard Sheridan, followed by Lenona Shields.
Evening, Richard Sheridan, 4801 Live Oak Street, Dallas, Texas. I'm here to speak about, it may seem not related, but it really is related in terms of the big picture, what's going on here in Dallas, what's going on at the school board. And it's basically a we the people versus a government, we the people versus the special interests that really rule our city. Quote, we are rapidly moving into a bad place. There are areas of Dallas one simply cannot venture into, and the unsafe areas seem to be spreading exponentially. Take care of yourselves and please get your gun permits. You are first line of defense. End quote. This message recently came from Officer Nick Novello, who is a 30-year veteran of the Dallas Police Department. For over 3 years, Novello has been warning Dallas, been a whistleblower, kind of like a Serpico back in the 70s, about the high increase in crime that has resulted from understaffing, 1,000 short, under-pensioning, and an underpaid police force. Novello stated that on WBAP 820 Rick Roberts show a few times, been at City Hall about this, and spoken at community forums. We have experienced 40 killings in May, the highest number in about 30 years, and assaults and robberies are near record levels. Some DAS students have been among the victims. In addition to our police and crime crisis, Dallas is also experiencing increased racial tensions. Our police chief is black and under a lot of pressure. Our growing homeless population and affordable housing crisis, what's going on here. And again, look at LA, Seattle, and San Francisco when it comes to the homelessness and affordable housing. And the growing hatred towards our police because of police brutality and shootings throughout Dallas and the Metroplex, the minority communities. We see an extremely volatile situation brewing. Officer Novello has stated that Dallas is on the way to becoming another Detroit with the possible president of the National Guard. We may see the civil rights movement all over again here in Dallas. And the most concerning comment that he made on the radio was, this is happening by design. It's happening by design, just like what's going on behind the scenes in the different government bodies. It's happening by design to serve special interests. So when I call in, I said these special interests basically, they, unlike the oath of office that our elected officials have and should go by, they are primarily interested in profits. Profits that basically at the consequence of the suffering of the children of Dallas, of the citizens of Dallas. So I'm here to call upon the DSD school board in the interest of the 155,000 students to do all you can, political lobbying, do all you can to stop and change the disastrous course that our city is on in mishandling the policing and crime crisis. So thank you very much.
Lenona Shields, followed by Molly Rook.
Good evening. I'm the current PTO president at Dade Middle School. Oh, I'm sorry. I reside at 2420 Choice Street, apartment 102, Dallas, Texas, 75215. That is District 9. I'm the PTO president at Dade and J.J. Rhodes. Over this school year, I have been raising concerns and discussing with parents, teachers, counselors, APs, principals, EDs, deputies, District 9 trustee, and now that the proper chain of command has been followed, I just want to voice some concerns with you guys, as well as that I spoke with them about, which are no communication with the parents in emergencies, lack of safety on school buses, students not receiving tag all year, in-school suspension. Lunch has been canceled before with no communication, no support for the PTO. Community events planned, canceled by a principal with no reasoning, misuse of PTO funds, SBDM not having a parent representative, suspending students with no documentation, principal oppression, unpleasant work climate, bullying and intimidation of staff and parents, high turnover of staff, always hostile with the parents along with the staff and administration, throwing documents at staff, per the principal. Teachers reprimanded for communicating with parents during the nurses' absences. There is no open door policy for teachers or parents. Restrooms have been broken all year long. Pregnant teacher assaulted 4 times and was advised to change her paperwork due to not having further investigations. False 911 calls supported by EDs that led me and my 2-month-old baby to be threw out in a thunderstorm. Policies being broken. So I'm basically going over all of the things, and you guys want parental support and involvement, but there is no open door policy for us. We're being threw out. We're being looked down on when we're trying to bring everybody together. We're here for the kids, and that's what we're here for. So we need to have the same support. We need to not be disrespected or done wrong in any type of way when we're following the chain of command. Several leadership appointments have been canceled. So do right by us because we do right by you guys. Everybody has to be held accountable for their positions. Please do right by us and the community. Thank you.
Our last speaker is Molly Rook.
Excuse me. Hi. I'm Molly Rook, 5825 Palm Lane, Dallas 75206. I'm here today to thank you for applying for an electric school bus to begin a pilot program which can save money in the long run for Dallas ISD and will allow DISD to learn more about how it can use such clean, zero tailpipe emission buses to improve students' health and reduce greenhouse gas emissions that are worsening our climate crisis. As a member of the City of Dallas's stakeholder group participating in the development of its comprehensive environmental and climate action plan, I'm keenly aware of the need for Dallas ISD to do its part in reducing greenhouse gas emissions wherever it can. So, in addition to reducing emissions from transportation, DISD needs to reduce the pollution created from the generation of the electricity it uses. I was pleased that DISD signed a letter of interest in a renewable energy opportunity created for SECO, the state of Texas's State Energy Conservation Office of the State Controller, designed to allow school districts, cities, and other state government-connected entities to buy clean energy at an exceptionally inexpensive price. Very smart. But then DISD unexpectedly and inexplicably dropped their pursuit of the exploration and consideration of that opportunity. Why? It's my understanding that a consultant not known to have experience in clean renewable energy may have been given the task of getting an energy contract for Dallas ISD. I'm both puzzled and dismayed. That seems unlikely to result in a clean renewable energy contract without direction from DISD to purchase renewable energy. DISD must and can get back on track to do its part to reduce air pollution and greenhouse gases from the electricity it uses by purchasing renewable energy, which costs no more than dirty energy from the grid. Please take advantage of the Texas Renewable Energy Cooperative while you still can. Also, I hope that DISD will consider expanding the number of schools with vegetable gardens like Mockingbird Elementary, where I volunteered. These are excellent, fun, and memorable hands-on learning experiences in the sciences. These gardens can grow some healthy foods for the students and make use of some of the school's food waste through on-site composting. This is just one of the many ideas of ways that students can learn the importance of environmental sustainability while they're also learning other things, including in STEM-related areas. Thank you very much.
This concludes our speakers.
Okay, thank you. Trustees, we're now up to item 4 of the agenda. The board will now retire to closed session. The public is welcome to wait in this room while the board is in closed session. The board will retire to closed session pursuant to the Texas Government Code section 551 concerning any and all purposes permitted by the Act, including but not limited to the following sections. Texas Government Code Sections 4.01, 551071 for private consultation with its attorney about pending litigation, including TEA docket number 02-R10-03-2019 and Section 551072 to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, sale, or value of real property. The time is now 8:49 p.m., and we are in closed session. The time is now 9:16 p.m., and the board is back in open session. The board took no action in closed session. Trustees, we're now up to item 5 of the agenda, reports. Item 5.01, Superintendent's Report, Academic Achievements, Accolades, Events, and Legislative Update. Superintendent Hinojosa.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the board, 2 items to report on. On July 15th, the Creating Accelerating Performance Initiative starts at various sites. These are 700 rising 3rd, 6th, and 9th graders who have an opportunity to get caught up on their literacy skills and get ahead. Secondly, the legislative session is over, but we're still analyzing all of the results of legislation. Obviously, the biggest rock was the budget, and we did get that to you. We continue to analyze other portions of the legislation, and we'll bring those to you as appropriate. And that concludes my report this evening.
Thank you. Trustees, any questions? All right. Item 5.02 of the agenda, Board of Trustee Committee Reports. Do we have any committee reports? Yes, the Audit Committee, Dustin Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Dallas Independent School District Audit Committee met May 30th, 2019 at 12 p.m. Those present included myself, Board President Edwin Flores, and Trustee Joyce Foreman. The agenda and video of the meeting are available for viewing on the district's website. Following is a brief summary of the meeting. The committee approved the prior meeting's minutes and then met in private session, and then the meeting was adjourned. That concludes my report. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other committee reports? If not, let's turn to item 5.03, Trustee Reports for Districts 1 through 9. We'll start over here on my right with Trustee Carla Garcia.
Congratulations are in order for Destiny Mora of Sigoville High School for being recognized with the Spirit Star of Dallas ISD Summer Cheer Camp. Spirit Star cheerleaders exemplify leadership and a good attitude while also exhibiting a high level of technical skills in jumps, motions, and dance. Every cheerleader who received the Spirit Star designation also received an invitation to perform at the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. Congratulations.
Okay. Trustee Ben Mackey.
All right. District 7. 24 Dallas ISD students were chosen to study abroad this summer as part of the Global Navigator Scholarship Program. Jose Baron, a student at Molina High School, is one of those students who is studying Spanish language and culture in Barcelona, Spain. That sounds fun. And congratulations to Sunset High School's Miguel Mendoza of the class of 2019. He was named to the Texas High School Baseball Coaches Association All-Star Team. Best wishes to Miguel.
Trustee Foreman.
Good evening. It was really good to see former trustee Audrey Pinkerton in the audience, who was a partner with me while on the board. And I'll now give the District 6 highlight. District 6 is already making big moves to represent Dallas ISD in the fall. Among the 39 cheerleaders designated as Spirit Stars, a top honor at the Dallas ISD Summer Cheer Camp, 4 District 6 students also received an invitation to perform at this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Congratulations to the following students for their stellar athleticism and for demonstrating good character. Anaya and Kiana Johnson from Kimball High School, Chloe Bell, and Catalina Vault from Carter High School. Thank you.
Trustee Flores.
Thank you. I would like to send a big congratulations to the bilingual ESL department for making available the first Spanish immersion summer camp for young learners. About 100 incoming first and second grade students enrolled in the District two-way dual language program have been able to continue learning and enhancing Spanish while learning about cultural values as well. It's great to see how such programs encourage our young learners to be fully bilingual and biliterate. And secondly, a big shout out to all District 1 schools for the amazing work done this past school year. I wish all our families and staff a fun, restful, and safe summer. Thank you.
Trustee Solis.
Congratulations to the teachers at the Innovation Design Entrepreneurship Academy who were chosen by students to receive Student Choice Awards this year. Students were asked to vote for their teacher from each grade level who made the most impact this year, and they are Ms. Ramirez, Mr. Lee, Ms. Brown, and Ms. Gallega. Thanks to all these great teachers for making a true difference in students' lives. Again, congratulations and thank you to each of them. The school also honored the Dallas Coalition of 100 Black Women for their remarkable efforts this year as mentors for the young women at IDEA. They provided finance and health and beauty workshops, conducted mock interviews, and served as guest speakers at several school functions. So thank you to everyone who participated. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Trustee Johnson.
Shout out to Mary Adams and her team at Portfolio Service for working with our marketing team to host Rock the Block outreach events at 7 apartment complexes across Oak Cliff. Rock the Block events help Dallas ISD to reconnect with the families and the community while providing a convenient way for families to enroll. Way to go to Kimberly Price, who received an invitation to represent Franklin D. Roosevelt, one of my alma models, high school cheerleader squad in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Thank you. Trustee Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll give the District 2 report. Congrats to the North Dallas Bulldog baseball team, which became the All-District 12 4A champions. Great job, guys. Also at North Dallas, 2 Lady Bulldog softball players received special All-District honors. Senior Marielena Garcia was named Defensive Player of the Year, and Junior Yomara Gutierrez was named Catcher of the Year on the All-District 12 4A softball team. So great job, Bulldog ladies. Also, I want to congratulate Shakira Bolton, who was named Lakewood Elementary School's Teacher of the Year. And I want to thank the Woodrow Wilson High School Community Foundation, which announced 25 graduating high school seniors were awarded foundation scholarships commencing in the fall of 2019 that totaled $43,500 in scholarships. So we appreciate the foundation for raising that money and distributing it to our deserving students. Also, on June 10th, Dandy Rogers Elementary School hosted a ribbon-cutting ceremony for a new park as part of a campaign to green up DISD campuses. This is a great example of public-private partnership between the Texas Trees Foundation, the Dallas Parks and Recreation Department, the Dallas City Council, and Dallas ISD. It's part of about 25 different parks, different DISD campuses that are on the docket to be converted into public parks with money from the Texas Trees Foundation as part of their Cool School program. So I was delighted to cut that ribbon and looking forward to the rest of those schools being upgraded. Also want to congratulate William Lipscomb Elementary, which became a Monarch Hero. With support from the National Wildlife Federation and DISD, the school received a grant to install a pollinator garden in their learning garden. The garden will create a sanctuary for butterflies and enhance students' learning. So thank you to the National Wildlife Federation Monarch Heroes program. And lastly, want to thank Geneva Heights Elementary for also hosting a Spanish immersion camp this summer that's helping students continue their path towards becoming bilingual. And thank the Geneva Heights PTA, which is working with Interfaith Family Services to host a uniform donation drive through July 14th, so you can donate gently used uniforms at the school. Thank you, and that concludes the District 2 report.
Thank you. Board President Justin Henry, the District 9 report, please.
Thank you, Chair. First, I wanted to apologize for not being there in person. I didn't mention it earlier, but I have family commitments that I chose to be at, which caused me to take the call from here. So I want to go ahead and give the District 9 update. First, I want to say congratulations and thanks to the administrators and faculties of the District 9 high schools who have worked with our incoming 9th graders this month at the summer bridge camps. And congratulations to all the new freshmen who have taken the time to participate. I'm excited about 2 important developments coming to South Dallas community. As part of the planning process for the new H.S. Thompson replacement school, I recently met, led by DISD administrators, with the members of the Bontown community to share ideas and collect their input. We'll continue to have these meetings where we collect input. Equally excited are the developments underway for the New Arts Academy plan for the Martin Luther King Learning Center, better known as the Kingdom. 2019 is a planning year for an exciting new arts program that will incorporate multiple fine arts learning opportunities for young students in band, dance, and art beginning in the fall of 2020. And like some of my colleagues on the board mentioned, kudos to the 12 talented young women from District 9 high schools at Dallas ISD Summer Cheer Camp who were selected from among 100 of their peers to perform in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade based on spirit, technical skill, and attitude displayed at this month's cheer camp. The students from Booker T. Washington, from Lincoln High School, and the great James Madison were awarded Spirit Star Awards by a panel of professional cheerleaders and staff. And last but not least, I want to welcome the new Lincoln High School girls basketball coach, Darren Samuels, who was recently added to the Tiger family, and look forward to success in the future and attending some of the games. That concludes the District 9 report.
Thank you. I will go ahead and give the District 3 report. Kudos to District 3 schools for hosting the Dallas ISD Refugee Summer Program, which is empowering newcomers to succeed through education. And congratulations to BA cheerleader Brianna Moya, who was named one of the top 2 cheerleaders in the district and was awarded with a trip to New York to participate in the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. Trustees, we're now up to item 6 of the agenda, approval of minutes. The following minutes have been submitted for approval. Call board meeting, June 18th, 2019. Board of Trustees and Superintendent Budget Workshop, June 13th, 2019. Board of Trustees and Superintendent Budget Workshop on May 30th, 2019. Audit Committee meeting on May 30th, 2019. The board meeting on May 23rd, 2019. The called board meeting for special recognitions on May 23rd, 2019. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Trustee Flores, seconded by Trustee Marshall. Are there any corrections? If there are no corrections, trustees, please cast your vote.
I vote yes.
Trustee Foreman? Yes. The motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. We're now up to item 7.01, conduct the board's constraint self-evaluation in accordance with the TEA Lone Star Governance Implementation Integrity Instrument. Dr. Lear, would you please lead us through this item?
Absolutely. Good evening. This month's board constraint states the board either collectively or through the actions of individual trustees shall not act in an unprofessional manner when working with staff and administration. Please conduct your self-evaluation by simply noting that you've complied or you've not complied, and the form should be in front of you.
Okay. Thank you. If you don't have a form, please raise your hand and Dino will bring one to you. I'm going to leave mine right at the front of the desk. Okay, trustees, we're now up to item 8, consent agenda items. Consider and take possible action to approve consent agenda items 8.01 through 8.99 as amended. The following items have been pulled for a separate vote: 8.06, 8.16, 8.17, 8.18, 8.19, 8.20, 8.21, 8.22, 8.23, 8.24, 8.25, 8.59, 8.63, 8.66, 8.68, 8.80, 8.83, and 8.84. We have the following consent agenda items pulled for individual consideration, not subject to debate. Items 8.60, 8.67, and 8.90. Consent items 8.87 and 8.99 have been pulled completely from the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda items 8.01 through 8.99 as amended. There's no discussion on the consent agendas. Trustees, please cast your votes.
I vote yes.
The motion passes 9-0.
Okay. Thank you, trustees.